Good morning, my friends. How is everyone this morning? I hope you're well. It's a beautiful day to be out and about, and I'm in my backyard, and I know I only did this 10 days ago, but April and May here in Central Florida is just a time when everything is really starting to just break out and get incredibly lush looking. All of my amaryllis that were blooming in the front yard have pretty much finished. This is, of course, amaryllis that I planted a little bit later. The peace lilies, agapanthus. The red plant is a tea plant, that's spelled T-I, but it's also known as cordyline. And they came back after the winter freeze. Plumeria trees have all leafed out, and we are taking extra precautions this year to try and keep any rust from forming underneath the leaves, which is where is the first sign of it. And you can see these look pretty healthy. My big staghorn in the back. I have to laugh because somehow seeds have fallen into the staghorn, and they're coleus seeds, so it should be a nice combination. They just, they live with each other. Multicolored Chinese spinach. I planted it once and it just keeps coming back. It'll drop leaves everywhere. And these are Principali Borghese tomatoes. I'll show you on how incredible they are over in Juicy Fruit Island. These are some Florida pinks, caladiums. This was a stick that I broke off, and that's the way plumeria grow here. Is that you just kind of like break a piece off and let the bottom end scab over, and then you just stick it back in the soil. And that's one there, and then here's another one that I planted so I could make several trees from if I chose. More of the tea plants. This is my marigold that is a Adolfo, and it was from a grocery store seed that I planted last year, so it's just about a year old. And I want to show you that the stem on it is maybe close to a ½ an inch. So it may be 7 years till I get fruit, but where am I going to be in 7 years? If I'm here, then I will enjoy it, and if I'm not, then somebody else will enjoy it. I have marigolds planted all behind everything in hopes of keeping bugs down and keeping the moths away and all the other things. My concern is always the insects that are coming to eat something. You can see I've planted more amaryllis bulbs all along here so that they will come out, and this one might bloom maybe in another month or so. All of this behind is Brazilian spinach. A friend gave me just a little sprig of it. It was probably about 3-4 inches, and I have just broken it off and let it spread. It makes a great ground cover, and it's not bad to eat. I think if you cook this, it's I want to say heartier. It's tougher than the normal spinach that you would grow. These are pentas, the little guys. You see some little pink blossom there, just starting. Again, I like to add color where I can, and I like to have food sources where I can. This is a Moringa plant. These are good. It's an edible, and they're very good for you. They're good for high blood pressure, diabetes, anxiety. I mean, they're just, if you look up Moringa, it gives you a whole list of things that they benefit. And you can eat it like this. It has a little spicy flavor to it. You can put it in your salads. You can put it in your smoothies. You can dry it out and actually take it as a powder. There's many, many health benefits. I have one beautiful red that is not, it's so beautiful. Isn't that pretty? But it doesn't, it's so wet, the stem didn't want to hold up, so we'll maybe cut that and take it in the house and enjoy it. More caladiums coming up, and more amaryllis. I want to develop this area and use it more as a vegetable garden very shortly. I have more agapanthus coming up back here, and soon we'll be sending out bloom stalks. You know my compost pile here. This kale has just been a beast, and we keep cutting, like 10 stalks, and is well over a pound, and cooked with a little bit of bacon or a little bit of sausage, and it's just fabulous. It's another moringa that I thought had died back, but it's come back from winter. Just lovely. Pigeon pea. They're almost ready. When they turn brown, then they will be ready to harvest, and then you can soak them and cook them, and they're delicious, just delicious. I believe that's a Florida white caladium. My tomatoes, the Everglades tomatoes, are still blooming the whole way down there and still bearing. I won't bother walking you down because it's a little wet, but you can see that we're still able to harvest. And since it's growing, it's an indeterminate, so it's going to keep growing and growing. I decided to try and lift it up and maybe work its way along there, and I'll keep it for just a little bit longer. I cleaned out all of this. Agapanthus in the back, caladiums. This is a little easy compost that I do, which is grass clippings and shredded cardboard, and just keep turning it and turning it. Occasionally I'll add something to it, like maybe a little worm castings or some coffee grounds or something. But for the most part, I've just been laying down cardboard and grass clippings on top here to eliminate the weeds without having to spray. More pentas in the back. This is one of the first agapanthus. Isn't this a beautiful variety? It's Blue Nile is the actual variety of agapanthus. This particular plant is probably about 4 or 5 years old. And this is all volunteers. I didn't plant any of these. The only thing I did plant was I pulled up some of the volunteers and put them in a pot. And you can see they're taking off. Although I have somebody biting the leaves. I don't know what would be going after those leaves. Somebody's getting a mouthful. The hibiscus is blooming beautifully, and it's been sprayed with neem oil to keep any aphids down. And I know it looks yellow. It'll kind of like slough off its leaves right before it has a big growth spurt, and it drives me crazy that it does that, but it does look pretty whenever it gets finished. More of the Chinese multicolored spinach, which was planted here last year, and it just keeps it keeps dropping seeds, and it just doesn't seem to want to quit. I planted peas here to go around this teepee that I made, and I think because it's so thick that the little runners don't seem to want to grab onto it. So I'll have to come up with a different idea. This was, oops, excuse me, sorry, didn't mean to swing you, sweet potato vine, and I planted it to come up to work its way up the trellis, so that we can, this is edible. I know I've told you guys this before, but they are very good. They taste like spinach, and I don't eat it raw, but I do eat it cooked. And I can see that something is attacking it also, so I don't know what we're getting in here, but somebody's got an appetite. We're going to have to keep an eye on that. These are bunching onions, green onions, and we've been eating off of them. It's almost, to me, it's almost like a cut and come again, where you trim it back. Instead of harvesting the whole thing, I just, pull these up and then take the long shoots off of them, chop them up. They're great, wonderful, wonderful flavor. These are Zuma Onions. They're a bulbing onion. I don't seem to be having great luck with them, but even if I got them as a green onion, they would still be good. I'm trying. It's hard to keep things weeded when our property is, the soil is just so fertile. Now that we've switched over to organic, we do worm castings, worm tea, worm leachate. Our soil is just so, everything grows so well, including the weeds. So here's one of the older stands of agapanthus, and you can see that it's just going to send out a bloom here. And that will be beautiful in end of May and into June. This was my main crop of, I thought, I'll just plant a few rows of my favorite, which is the Japanese giant red mustard greens. And it has just taken over this whole space. I did plant some regular lettuce greens in the front, and they've just kind of like been overwhelmed, So, you can only eat so many greens, and once they get this size, you almost have to cook them because they do get very sharp. So, let's see, 10 days ago when I showed you this main hole, let me back up so you can actually see how huge this is. It's probably 8 feet across and about 5 feet deep. But when this is in bloom, you get to a level where you can see all of the heads. I count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. And I'm sure there's probably more. It kind of lets you know how many plants are in there that have grown together and kind of like on top of each other. There's another one, and they will just keep producing, and this will be beautiful the end of May and into June, and I'll be sure to show you all these huge blue Nile heads, and worth the wait. So, but what I wanted to show you was Juicy Fruit Island, and the two trees, the two Asian pear trees are doing so well. When I finally took it apart and took its roots and took the diffuse roots and actually made like a gully here, and I laid those down, and the taproot was wound around, and I tried to ease that as much as I could and dig a deeper hole and let it go in. It did go through a shock, but it made it, and so I'm pleased with that. But I wanted to show you, I was so pleased with these tomatoes, and you can see we have pine trees back here. So, I'm picking up pine all the time, which is wonderful. People love pine, and they put down pine as their mulch, but I personally don't because it takes so long to break down. The marigolds are finally little bloom heads. But it's the tomatoes that I think are just going to be the stars here in old Juicy Fruit Island. Can you see those babies? These are supposed to be, these are the Principale Borghese, and they are supposed to be between an inch and 2 inches, and I can't wait. I can't wait. I think I am going to be inundated with tomatoes. Oh boy, there's one that's already, you can see it's a decent size. I'm sure Rick will be so excited to see all of this, since his only job back here is really to cut the grass, and then he leaves. Anyway, Sweet Alyssum with purple lady bok choy in the center. And more tomatoes. They look pretty healthy. I've tried to stake everybody up as best I can. And my second Asian pear. And I know I've given you this tip before, and now I'm not doing anything about it, is to put something on the tips of these so that you can see. I don't know if you can see this guy. Isn't that cool? It's a dragonfly. Look at his beautiful color. Those incredible eyes. Anyway, I love when they... Sorry, let me get to the front side of them. Hello, sir. You're quite a pretty thing, aren't you? They came back last month. I was so pleased to see dragonflies. They seem to return in April, and then we start to see the butterflies coming back. There's my Florida Prince peach. So needless to say, I'm pleased with the way the yard looks right now. This is the crepe myrtle, and then the Florida red, crepe myrtle, and then the Florida red maple, which has turned green. It's funny, isn't it? It comes out and it's kind of like a little tiny leaves turn red, and then as they get older, let me reach up and show you. See, here's one that's still kind of red. It's not red like a red Japanese red maple, but it's pretty. And of course, this was the original crepe myrtle that I took a cutting from the front yard. And I think that's probably about it. I've shown you everything. I'm so, I don't want to say I'm proud of it, but I'm just so pleased that everything is looking good for this period in time. Another month or two and I won't want to show you anything because the weeds will have taken over and the mosquitoes will be back again. So, you know, it's like I have this window of opportunity. Let me show you now. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed this. I enjoyed making it for you, and I hope you guys will have a wonderful weekend. If you're celebrating Mother's Day and you're a mom, whether you're a mom of children or pets, or you're a worm mom, I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful day. I wish I could send you all a plumeria lei. I hope you will subscribe and ring the bell and come back and see me again soon, because you know I'll be here. Take care. Bye-bye.